Hey guys, it's me, cyoubx, and I am bringing back Real or Fake. This is episode 4. Real or Fake is a series that I really enjoyed doing 3 or 4 years ago, but I never kept up with it because other things just happened in my life. But I'm bringing it back because I miss it, and a lot of you seem to miss it as well. For those of you who are new to this channel, which actually in this case is the majority of you since it's been so long since I've done this series, Real or Fake is essentially a series where I talk about a story, and the story is either true or false, and it's your job as a collective audience to vote on whether the story is real or fake. So to vote, all you have to do is type in a comment below saying real or fake, and then when I release the next episode in the series, I'll just tally up the score and see what you guys voted on collectively. So in the past 3 episodes, I've actually told nothing but the truth, and you guys have said that I was lying all 3 times, which means the score is now 3-0, 3 for me, and 0 for all of you. So hopefully this video you'll do better, but I kind of doubt it. But before I get started, I do also want to announce that I'm going to be starting a new series, which is similar to a Q&A, except that it's far more in depth. I'm only going to be focusing on 1 question per video, and the goal is to really talk about more complicated things within the YouTube cubing community that I wouldn't necessarily be able to dedicate to a massive Q&A montage type video. So if you have a question that you want me to answer that requires some explanation, then leave them in the comments below as well. I do read through all the comments, even though there's going to be a ton of real or fake comments in this particular video. Questions that I'm looking for are things like, how do you balance cubing in school? What do you think is more important, video or audio quality? Questions of that nature where I would dedicate maybe 5 or 6 minutes to talk about something. So if you have those kinds of questions, then leave them below and I'll make a video about it. So with that, let's get to the story. So the story actually happened really recently, I think on either Tuesday or Wednesday. So for those of you who don't know, I am a graduate student at Berkeley, and the research that I do has to do with neuroscience, so I look at the brain and I'm interested in how the brain reacts to certain things. So right now I'm doing this clinical study where we bring in people to go into this fMRI scanner. So for those of you who don't know, it's basically just a brain imaging kind of device. We bring these people in to do this experiment, which is pretty simple. You basically just tap a finger left or right when you're inside the scanner, and we just sort of see what happens to your brain. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's the gist of it. But anyway, we get these subjects from these advertisements that we post out just all over campus. We say like, oh, we want people between this age and who fit this demographic for our study, and so we'll pay you if you come. So this guy actually responded and was like, yeah, I want to be part of your study, like tell me more about what you do and like how I'm going to get paid, stuff like that. So I replied back and I tell him, we're going to give you a check at the end of the experiment. We're going to compensate you for your time, and if you're traveling from really far away, we'll also compensate you for gas and transportation, stuff like that. So it's pretty standard. This is usually how these types of things go when you're doing clinical studies and experiments with like real people. So I got in contact with this guy maybe like a month ago, and we set everything up. I sent him the consent forms, which basically tells him exactly what's going to happen, like what the experiment is, how he's going to get paid, any legal things, release of information, stuff like that. So I send him all of that information. He apparently looked over it and said like, oh yeah, this looks great, like I'll see you whenever 2 days ago was. So I saw him 2 days ago. He came and I gave him the consent forms again, so like a physical copy so that he could read over it one last time and then sign at the bottom. So I give him the forms, and then I have to go set up the machine. So he's waiting in this lobby area. Think of it as like kind of like a hospital. So he's in this lobby area and I'm sort of in the back getting the scanner set up so that we can run the experiment. So I'm gone for maybe 10 minutes or so. I come back and he throws the paper just in my face and starts yelling and basically tells me like I've been lying to him this whole time, and this is like 8 a.m. so I'm in no mood or like I have no mental capacity to deal with this and to like really understand what is going on. So I'm just standing there like, what just happened? Like, what? But anyway, I finally sort of gather myself and I'm like, sorry sir, like what is the issue? Apparently the problem is that he thought that he would be paid with some sort of voucher from the school the same day rather than a check. And he didn't want a check because it would take too long for him to go to a bank and like cash it, stuff like that. So he didn't want a check. But we don't do vouchers. Like, it's not like we give gift cards out, right? It's not what we do. This guy starts yelling at me, talking about how it's not fair that he's not going to get paid, and that he drove like 30 miles to not get paid, and that it's all BS. And anyway, he starts swearing. This is like a 40 or 50-year-old guy, probably 250, 300 pounds. So like, he's a big dude. He's probably like 6'3". So I was obviously very intimidated, and I tried my best to sort of calm him down, and I was like, there must be some mistake, some misunderstanding. Like, I'll check on the vouchers, knowing fully well that they don't exist. But I wanted to just calm him down at this point, and I was like, yeah, I'll check on the vouchers. I'll see what I can do. Like, please just like take a seat, and I'll get it sorted out. But he wouldn't have it. Like, he just, I mean, he just completely lost his cool. He started like walking around, and then there's like pieces. There's like people sitting behind the desk, just working as technicians and stuff, and so they're watching and they're like, oh, this is kind of weird. But anyway, they don't really want a part of this either because it's not really their responsibility. But anyway, he goes up to them, and then he starts yelling at them and says, like, I want to get paid today. Like, if you guys are not going to pay me, I'm just going to sue you guys for lying on consent forms and stuff like that. And I was just like, well, so first of all, I didn't want the technicians to have to deal with this because he's not their subject, he's sort of my subject, so I felt sort of responsible for the situation. So I called him and I was like, sir, like, I will check on the vouchers for you, but right now I just need time to like set up the scanner and then, you know, get everything set up, but like I will deal with this personally, you know, in a bit, but I just not right now, and like, please don't yell at the technicians. They've done nothing in this situation. This is purely between you and me. That worked. He was like, okay, yeah, fine. But he keeps yelling at me, and then he starts, it's really stupid. He starts throwing these like racial slurs and says like, you know, if English isn't my first language, then maybe I should get a translator to actually look over my emails, which is ridiculous because I find my English to be fine. What ended up happening was actually one of the technicians who was sitting behind the counter had actually called security. So one of the technicians actually told the guy, he was like, sir, I've actually just called security because you're causing too much of a ruckus. There's other people waiting for other experiments and you're just causing a scene, so we're gonna have to ask you to leave, and we've already called security. So at this point, this guy like completely just loses his cool. He actually pushes me. I was just like, okay, sir, that's not acceptable. You cannot do that. Please don't touch me again. And then he was like, what are you gonna do about it? And he pushes me with his index finger like on my not collarbone, chest bone, my sternum. I'm not a very good fighter, but the one thing that I do is when people point a finger at me, I'll grab their finger and just bend it. So that's what I ended up doing. So he pushed me and it was not cool. So I grabbed his finger and I actually bent it harder than I thought I did, and I heard a crack. So he pulls back and he actually starts crying. I look at his finger, it's pretty contorted. I had dislocated his finger. And he keeps yelling at me, but security eventually comes and then assesses the situation, and then he starts saying that he drove 30 miles here because, you know, he wanted to do a study and that I wouldn't let him do the study because I didn't have the correct form of payment. So now he's saying that I lied to him, which I didn't, that he expects payment, and that I physically harassed him. And so now it's just this huge issue of like, you know, who did what. But anyway, the technicians have my back. They saw everything. So security ended up actually handcuffing him because he wouldn't cooperate, and they like ushered him out. This was all at like 8 to 8:30 a.m. and it was insane. It was such a crazy way to start the day. So that's the story for this episode. It's a little crazy, but there's some things that you just can't make up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that story. Let me know in the comments below if you thought that story was real or fake, just by typing real or fake as a comment below. And in the next video, I'll let you guys know how you did. Also, as a reminder, I am starting this new Q&A series where I'm going to be talking about more in-depth questions. So leave those questions below if you have them, and if I find it interesting, I'll make a video about it. Other than that, all my social media links are in the description below. Check out my Instagram, I post there quite frequently, and check out my Facebook group. That's all for this video, and until next time, toodles.